You know, it's that time of year where all like the homeschool influencers and YouTubers out there are sharing their curriculum picks for next year. And I don't know about you, but I'm not even done with this year. So why the heck am I going to think about next year? I don't even want to think about next year. I just want to get this year done and take a break during summer. And then I'll think about it. Maybe like the end of July, beginning of August. I don't know. But I just don't really care right now. And I want to get more into it, so let's do it. So I'm here to tell you that you don't need to be worrying about next school year. Just because everyone else is like posting information about what curriculum they're going to use for next school year, you don't need to worry about it right now. You know, you do you, finish the school year, have a nice break, and then think about it. Because, and to be honest, there's no educational emergency out there. If you don't have your curriculum ready before the school year starts, like you don't need the curriculum before the school year starts. You can get it when the school year starts. There's no race here, you know. There's no, as soon as the school year starts, you take off on that race. There's none of that is going on. You know, we're working at our kids' own pace, and even then, everyone knows that's been doing this for a while that the best homeschool year usually starts off nice and slow, getting your kids used to the groove and all that. So like, just chillax. That's all I have to say. Chillax and you're good. And if you're eager to get the ball rolling, then go for it. You do you. So if you're the super type A planner type where you just want to get everything planned and ready to go for it. But just remember this, less is more. And the best curriculum is a curriculum that you actually use. So if you're new here, I'm Xuan and I'm a slow living coach and a homeschool mom of 3. And on this channel, I used to share all things about homeschooling. I still share some things about homeschooling, but I just feel this calling to share a little bit more about slow living. And yes, I know I'm talking about homeschool curriculum right now. To a lot of people, this doesn't apply, but to me, it kind of all does apply in some way. Like homeschooling is part of the slow living, and it's an alternative lifestyle. It's a middle finger to the public school systems. It's doing things at our own pace and teaching our kids in a way that we think is best. So what I'm saying is that I guess that this video kind of combines those two elements. All right, so I want to talk about the pressure of perfection, and even more than just that. We have a lot of external influences out there, especially since our lives are so connected and we're so, we're constantly being bombarded by information. We have like all these, influencers that we follow either on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or where have you. And, we see what they're doing. And when we see more than one person doing kind of the same thing, it kind of puts this pressure on us like, oh, we need to get our act together, figuring out what our curriculum for next year is, even though emotionally and physically you're not ready to deal with that. And it's hard to, avoid it. It's hard not to be influenced. I know how many times in the past where I've seen like multiple people rave about a certain curriculum and then I end up getting it because, everyone else thinks it's awesome and great, and then I get it and it's like, wow, this is really not for me or for my kids. And I just don't want you making the same mistakes. And I know it's hard. You kind of have to turn off those influencers. And if you want to turn me off right now too, that's fine too. Do what you want. But we just have to, kind of disconnect in some ways. Like if you're overwhelmed, then why keep bombarding yourself with the same information that's making you overwhelmed? Turn it off even better. Go outside, hang out with your kids. Who cares what all the other homeschoolers are doing right now? And just remember, if you are looking for that perfect curriculum out there that everyone supposedly raves about, there is no such thing. There is no such thing as a perfect curriculum. You look at the public school system, teachers there, I know very few teachers that only use the curriculum that they are assigned to teach from. They often supplement, and we have to do the same too. And in addition to not being able to find the perfect curriculum, you're also, if you're going to be following all these like influencers and buying everything that they recommend, you're going to be spending a lot of money. And I don't know about you, but homeschooling, unless you're like wealthy, but most of the homeschoolers I know are either living off a single income, or they have one main income and then another parent is supplementing it with like side jobs here and there. Most of the people I know that are homeschooling are not wealthy people. And if you keep spending all your money on curriculum that's not going to do your family justice, then you're just wasting a bunch of money. And that money could be used for, maybe classes that your kids are interested in taking, field trips that you could be going on. You can use that money to get like a national park pass or a state park pass and, go explore our country. I just don't want you to be spending money on things you don't want or need. I mean, I did make a video in the past about how to save money while homeschooling, but if you can, buy used, wait for sales, go to the library, bug your fellow homeschooler friends to see if they have any curriculum that they don't want to use anymore, and be mindful about it. And next is to choose curriculum that works best for you and your family. So that may mean that you need to do a little bit more investigation than just going off someone's recommendation. Your values are going to be different from my values. What you deem to be important in a curriculum is not going to be the same thing as me or anyone else. We're not carbon copies. We're not Stepford wives. We are multi-dimensional human beings. Consider your teaching style. Consider your kids' learning style. And then also consider your lifestyle. Like maybe you are on the road, you're like road scopes, like you're road schooling or world schooling, and you don't really have space to pack all these workbooks and textbooks and stuff. So you're gonna probably do things that are more online, right? And probably not gonna go to the library. Instead, you're gonna have a tablet, and you're going to be downloading books from there and reading from there. So consider your lifestyle. I think that's a really important thing to do as well. And then also you need to consider that there's an adjustment period when you do get a new curriculum and you try it out, and you need to get used to it. You need to become familiar with it. So you need to take a few days to familiarize yourself with it. And then you need to put it into practice and wait a while to see how it goes. At least, to be honest, for us, it takes, depending on how often you use the curriculum, it'll take anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months to get a groove, to find your groove, to make, to see if it works or not, see how you like it. With anything new, no one likes anything new. Everyone freaks out whenever something new comes into play. So be prepared for that. And before I turn this on and move into the other room with you, I just want to share with you that you don't have to homeschool in the traditional sense. We pulled our kids out of traditional schools because it wasn't working for them. So why the heck are you trying to homeschool like they are? Or are you trying to teach your kids like they are? You need to flip the script. You need to do things a little bit differently. You brought them home, so embrace the home, embrace the coziness, embrace the relaxed atmosphere, embrace the space where your kids are allowed to be themselves, and lean into that. And homeschooling doesn't need to be at a desk, it doesn't need to be at the kitchen table, it doesn't need to be, you can do it anywhere. I mean, heck, even when I was a teacher, I had a couch in my classroom. I had clipboards so that my students that had difficulty sitting in their seats could stand up and walk around. I had floor pillows so the kids can lay on the floor if they wanted. I tried to make it cozy and home-like because they spent a lot of time there. And maybe I shouldn't have made it too cozy because my students really spent a lot of time there. They would come in before school, they would come in during breaks, they would come in during lunchtime and after school. Probably why I kind of burnt out, because I didn't really give myself that boundary. But that being said, when you're homeschooling, embrace the home and not so much the schooling. Like I said, there's really no educational emergency out there. It's just you and your kids, and learning happens naturally. It doesn't always come out of a textbook. Just remember that. I mean, when you think back about all the amazing things that you learned, did they come out of a curriculum or a textbook? I mean, some of the awesome things I learned came from me doing projects as a kid, doing research papers, doing science experiments. going on field trips, those things really stood out to me as a student, as a child. And so what's going to stand out to your kids? Is it going to be the curriculum that you spent hundreds or maybe thousands? I don't know how much curriculum is nowadays. Some people get those all-in-one curriculums that are a lot. And is it worth it? Is that what you want your kids to remember about homeschooling? What are your values? What do you really value? I think that kind of is what it comes down to. What do you really value in your life, in your home? Something to think about. Okay, need to move you over here. It's a little loud. I have notes because that's the only way I can think. Otherwise, I'm going to be like totally off topic like all the time. Homeschooling also allows us to be really flexible. It allows us to slow down when we need to or speed up when we need to. Like with math, my kids like to work at a very slow pace. Same with history. When it comes to science and language arts, bam, 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 bam. They're pretty quick through it. They want to move fast. And so I lean into that. I try not to keep everything in a certain time frame, because it's all arbitrary, right? Like, people say that your kids should be reading by 3rd grade. I mean, yes, they should have, if they're not reading by 3rd grade, maybe there are some things that you need to consider getting extra help with, but I just would not freak out about it because, eventually you'll figure out those hurdles that they may have, and then they'll figure out their own hurdles, and then they will progress. Like 99% of the time, progress. I know it's hard because we kind of future trip, right? Like we think about like in the future, like, oh, if I don't do this, then my kids are going to end up, being homeless or something like that, which is totally not true. You don't know what the heck is going to happen in the future and what choices your kids are going to make in their lives. And it has nothing to do with the curriculum that you chose. Another thing I want to talk about is keeping it simple. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to overcomplicate your process to find the perfect curriculum. And if you do need help, I do have a checklist and I'll have that link down below. You just don't need to overcomplicate things. Make your life easier, not harder. Sometimes the easiest method is the best method. Sometimes the easiest answer is the best answer. You don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to have different curriculum for like all your different kids. You can use the same one. Maybe math, yeah, that'll be different, but everything else, you can kind of adapt it. They call it scaffolding in traditional schools. And so you can scaffold the curriculum to meet the needs of your kids, whether they're higher or lower. You would supplement in some way in order to do that. And you can get creative with it as well. Like, you don't have to stick to exactly what they say in the curriculum. You don't. It's just a guide. It's not the law, it's not the Bible or anything like that. It's just a guide. And you can do whatever the heck you want. There's no like curriculum police that's going to come out there and arrest you for skipping something that you thought was kind of pointless. Like, just move on. And then including with the whole keeping it simple, it's like, try not to do too much as well. Try not to overwhelm yourself with like, because there are so many opportunities out there. There's like so many opportunities for your kids. And you just want to do it all. And you want your kids to do it all. But that's just overwhelming for everyone involved. Like, just slow it down. What is it, Angela Duckworth, the woman that wrote Grit? She says to do one hard thing a year. Have your kids do one hard thing a year and just devote to that. Do that one hard thing. So maybe it's like one sport that your kids play, or maybe it's one activity. I don't know. You get to decide that. So my kids, their one hard thing is, I guess, swimming. They like to swim, so do swimming. So especially in the early stages of homeschooling, you just don't want to do all of the things. Like, take it easy. When your school year does start, you don't have to do all the subjects at once. You can just feather them in. You can just, start with one and, get really solid with that. So maybe start with language arts, get really solid with that, and then you move in and you add in math and get really solid with that. You get to go at your own pace, which is awesome. You get to do what you want, which is awesome. And even like in the public school systems or in the traditional schools, they don't like start off with a bang on the first day. I mean, maybe some teachers do. I did have a colleague who just got right down to business, but he was former military police, so that's probably why. But you don't have to You get to know your kids, you get to know what they want, you know, start the homeschool year off to see what they want to learn and go from there. I don't know, like there's just so many ways that you can homeschool, and I just don't want you to limit yourself or block yourself. And I also want to prepare you for those imperfect days. You're not going to have perfect days, no matter how much you plan, no matter how, you know, organized you are and ready you are to use the curriculum that you've chosen. Like it's not, every day is not going to be perfect. And that doesn't make you a failure. That doesn't make the curriculum a failure. There's just sometimes there are hard days. Either there could be some emotional issues happening, or just not all lessons are gonna be awesome. Some of them are gonna be duds. Even the ones that, you know, someone created and sold to you, they can still be duds. There's no such thing as perfection. You just need to let go of that. There's no such thing as a perfect day. And we just need to become resilient to that and just be able to adapt and deal with whatever is happening and move on, instead of dwelling on it and thinking, oh, this curriculum is horrible, or I'm not fit to be a homeschool teacher, or maybe my kids shouldn't be homeschooled, and blah, blah, blah. And those hard days should be like opportunities for growth. It's an opportunity for connection. Screw the curriculum and connect with your kids. Figure out what's going on, see what support that they need. You know, like you don't have to stick to the schedule. You don't have to stick to the scope and sequence of a curriculum. You don't even have to stick to the curriculum. Just move on. You know, come back to it another day. There's no emergency happening. Just remember that. So all of this is to say is that there's no perfect curriculum out there. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. You just do you. If you want to take a break and not even think about curriculum, I'm here for it. Wait until you're ready. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that you need to do it. And choosing the right curriculum, it's going to take a lot of time. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. And just remember that there is no perfect curriculum out there. And don't spend all your money on curriculum. There's more places you can spend your money that is going to be well worth it. And you also need to make sure that you adjust your expectations so that you have a happy homeschool year. And don't feel like you're failing, because you're not failing. You're doing exactly what you need to do. And if something's not working, it just means that you need to stop and make adjustments and figure out the next step. Move forward. And finally, you just need to embrace the unique situation that we're in as homeschooling parents. Homeschooling is just so wonderful and so flexible, and you're just going to really love it. And if you've been doing it for a while, then you know exactly what I'm talking about here. It's just a lifestyle that I would not want to give up, because our home and our lives are so much more relaxed than they have ever been before. And it feels good not to be in that rat race of the public school systems or traditional society, I guess. And to be home and to be together and to learn at our own pace. Let's go check on my dough real quick, see how that's going. The dough's not quite ready yet, and I need to keep it going, but I just wanted to let you know that I did start a new Substack, and I'll leave a link down below, sharing all things about slow living there, including living an intentional life, homeschooling, slow travel, etc. And I've just started it, so there's not a lot of content on there yet, but there will be soon. And also, I have a playlist here because summer is coming up and I want you to have fun. I find that kids are kind of my savior when it comes to summer homeschooling, and I just wanted to share that with you right here as a playlist, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao!